Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this sun hat here. See, mine's got some bling on it. It would have looked better in a darker color hat, but I make do with what I have. So there's a ribbon in the back, you can see. You can of course adjust that, don't have to put that on. You can make this an all ribbon or you can leave it a plain hat. It's very easy to make. It's made basically all with half double crochet in the round. There is no visible seam to this hat, and it does have a reverse single crochet edge, which is not hard to do. I'll show you how to do it. It's very easy, and if you can't get that down, regular single crochet edge will be fine. It does have a wire in it to keep it up straight, but I'll tell you what, with the yarn that I use, which is the Lion Brand Rewind, even without the wire in it, it didn't do too bad as far as floppiness. Now continue watching and I'll show you tell you about what all you need and about other types of yarns that you could substitute if you don't have this yarn. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for this project you're going to need I'm using Lion Brand Rewind tape yarn. Now there are 219 yards in this ball, and it's about 215 yards of this yarn is what I went through, pretty much all of it. Or if you want to make the brim of your hat bigger, you're definitely going to need more. The color I am using is called Elm. Now you don't have to use this yarn. So other yarn options would be for this hat would be a raffia yarn. The paper style yarn would work well. Also, you can use a regular bulky 5 yarn. If you do not use the wire, though, it will be really floppy. So if you don't mind that look, that's fine. But if you do use a regular bulky 5 yarn, just remember that if you want the brim to really stick out, you're going to need to use the wire. So that's the yarn that I used, and here's the wire that I'm talking about. I'll show you. I purchased this on Amazon. So it's a millinery wire. It's what is mainly used for rims of hats. So I got the 19 gauge, and I got a 1 yard of it. I actually wish I would have got a little bit more than 1 yard, but to make the hat brim a little bit longer, but I'm gonna make do with what I got. You see, it was only $1.95. I think there was a little bit of shipping on there, but not much. So like I said, this did come from Amazon, so you can look it up. Just look up millinery wire 19 gauge, and like I said, I have 1 yard of it. So that is something that you're going to need. And then the bling I'm using is a bridle belt, also purchased off of Amazon. Now, if you want to put this on, you know, it's always just optional. You know, if you know me well, I like blingy things. So this is the bridle belt. They have these all different kinds, all different sizes, and all different colors of belts. So I'll going to attach this to my hat, as you've seen, and with fabric glue. Fabric tack. You'll also need this, which I believe I either bought at Amazon or at Walmart. I can't remember. I think both places have it, but I will be gluing this on to my hat. And remember, this is always optional, but everything that you see besides the yarn was purchased at Amazon. The wire, the belt, and the glue, which I'm almost certain it was Amazon, but I know Amazon has it. Walmart does too, I believe. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. You can see that. Now, I don't recommend using any different size, regardless whether you use the tape yarn, the Rewind tape yarn, or a raffia style yarn, or even a bulky 5 regular yarn. Always use the 6.5 millimeter. And let's go ahead and get started on this. All right, let's go ahead and start with a slip knot on our hook. All right, now we're going to go ahead and work a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch back into the first stitch to form a ring. If you want to use the magic circle here, that's fine. Okay, now we're going to do a chain 1. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch, doesn't count as anything, so we're just going to pretend like it's not there. We are going to work 10 half double crochets through the center of the ring that we just made. So half doubles is where we yarn over, We're going to go through that ring, draw up a loop, and then we're going to yarn over. We'll have 3 loops on our hook and go through all 3 at the same time. So that's our half double. We want to do 10. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, once you get your 10 half double crochets done, you can usually pull that tail and it'll close up that circle a little bit more, and then we can finish closing it up the rest of the way. Now we're going to be working in a continual round, which means we won't be slip stitching to close our rounds. So you want to use a stitch marker that way you know where you begin and where you end. I'm just going to use a piece of yarn as a stitch marker. So I'm going to place it right here after my 10th half double crochet. And now I'm going to start, so that was the end of round 1. Now I'm going to start round 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to the first half double crochet that we made. Now remember, we don't count that chain 1. If you want to count back 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That way you know which one to go into. This one right here is my first one. There's that chain 1. Here's my first one. I'm going to go into that first one and I'm going to work 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. So there's 1 and there's 2. Now I'm going to work along. I'm going to work 2 half double crochets into every stitch all the way around until I get back to my starting point. So round 2 is 2 half doubles in every single stitch. All right, I made it to the end of round 2, and now you should have a total of 20 half double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up, and I'm going to begin round 3. So round 3, what we're going to do is we are going to put 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, just 1. And then the next stitch is going to get 2 half double crochets into the same stitch, and that'll be our repeat for round 3 here. 1 half double into the next stitch, and then 2 half doubles into the next. 1 half double into the next, and 2 half doubles into the next. And we're going to repeat this all the way around until we make it back to our stitch marker. All right, I've come to the end of round 3, and you should have a total of 30 stitches, and you should have ended, your last stitch should have had 2 half double crochets in it. So we're going to go ahead and move our marker up, and we're going to start round 4. So we're going to start off by putting 1 half double into the first 2 stitches. So we go 1 half double into the first stitch, 1 half double into the next stitch, and now the next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles into the same stitch. So 1 and 2. So that's the repeat for round 4. 1 half double into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 there, 1 there, and then the next stitch will get 2 half doubles into the same stitch. There's 1 and 2, and we repeat that again. 1 half double into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, 1, and then 2 half doubles into the next. 1 and 2. Now we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around until we get back to our stitch marker. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 4, and I should have a total of 40 stitches. Your last stitch should have had 2 half double crochets in it. Now we're going to start round 5 by putting 1 half double into the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and then the next stitch you'll get 2 half doubles into the same stitch. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to repeat that all the way around. So again, we're going to put 1 half double into the next 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 half doubles into the next. So I'm going to repeat this pattern of 1 half double, 1 half double, 1 half double, 2 half doubles, 1 half double, 1 half double, 1 half double, 2 half doubles, all the way around until I make it back to the to my stitch marker. Alright, I've come to the end of round 5, and you should have a total of 50 stitches. So we're going to move our stitch marker up again. We're going to do one more round of increases. So round 6, what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 half double crochet into the first 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the next stitch is going to have 2 half doubles into the same stitch, and this will be the repeat for round 6. 1 half double into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 half doubles into the next. Now we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until we get back to our starting point. Okay, so I've made it to the end of round 6, and you should have a total of 60 stitches. So now round 7 is actually going to be the repeat round for a little while now. So we finished increasing the top portion of our hat. So we went ahead and moved our stitch marker up, and now what we're going to do is put 1 half double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So no more increasing, it's just 1 half double in every stitch. And we're going to work rounds of that 1 half double in every stitch. And eventually, after you get a few rounds going, you'll start to see your hat take form as a hat. But we'll continue this round 7, 1 half double in every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you whenever we make it to our stitch marker. Okay, the end of round 7, you go ahead and pull your stitch marker up, and now we're just going to keep repeating round 7. You should always have 60 stitches at the end of your round. So it's just rounds, like I said, this is round 8 now. 1 half double crochet in every stitch. Make it back around, 60 stitches, and continue again for round 9. Make it back around, 60 stitches, and you keep continuing doing rounds of 1 half double crochet in every stitch. You'll always have 60 stitches at the end of every round. Okay, so I have went ahead and done a total of 16 rounds, and that is starting from round 1, a total of 16. And when I set it upright, I'll give you a measurement on it before I add the brim. So setting it upright right now, it measures about 5 inches tall. That's setting it kind of, you know, flat on its base. I guess if I was to do this, let's do it this way. Maybe that would be easier. Better to take a measurement from. It is about 6.5 inches tall. Okay, so that's about what mine is. Okay, now we're gonna make the brim. So I'm gonna go, you should have 60 stitches here. So this is round 16. So round 17 is going to be the start of the brim. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my stitch marker out and move it up. So we're going to increase here on this round for the brim. So we're going to start out and we're going to do 1 half double crochet into the first 5 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 5, and then the next one we're going to do an increase. So we're going to put 2 half doubles into the next stitch, just like that. And that is what we're going to repeat all the way around for round 17. 1 half double into the next 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 half doubles into the next. So go ahead and repeat that pattern of 1 half double in the next 5, and then 2 half doubles into the next, all the way around until we get back to our stitch marker. All right, I have made it to the end of round 17, and you should have 70 stitches now. We added 10 more than we did before, we had on the previous round. You should have ended with 2 half double crochets there. So this is actually the process we're going to do when we make the entire brim. So we're going to go ahead and move our stitch marker up for round 18. So for the previous round, we did 5 half double crochets in a row, and then we did our increase stitch. Now what we're going to do is 6 half double crochets in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then the increase stitch would be 2 half doubles into the same stitch, and that's what we're going to repeat all the way around for round 18. So it's very similar to the previous round, except for instead of doing 5 and then increase, now we're doing 6 half doubles and then increase. So 6 half doubles again in a row, and then 2 in the next. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my starting point. Don't mind if you notice that your increases, they start to dip up. We'll take care of that later when we get to the end of the brim. All right, I have made it to the end of round 18. So now you should end it in 2. You'll always end in 2 half doubles. You should have a total of 80 stitches. So every round now is going to increase by 10 stitches. So we're going to kind of repeat this, what we're doing, in the same manner until we get our brim as long as we want it to be. So the first increase round, we did 5 single crochets in a row, and then we did an increase. And then our previous one here, we did 6 single crochets and then an increase. Now we're going to move our stitch marker up, and we're going to do 7 single crochets in a row, and then we'll do our increase. And there's 7, and then 2 in the next. So we're going to keep repeating this increase in the same, like I said, the same method. Every time you get back around, you'll have 10 more stitches at the end of each round. And you'll always start with 1 more half double crochet in between your increases. So this row we have 7 in between our increases. The next row will have 8, and the row after that will have 9. Just depending on how big you want your brim. Some people like a really, really long brims, and some people just, they don't want them that big. So just continue increasing in this manner that we're doing. Remember, every row will have 10 more stitches in the previous row, and remember, it will flip up here on your increase areas. That is fine. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. But I'm going to keep going and until I get my brim as long as I want it to be, and I'll meet back up with you. All right, so I have done a total starting from the very top all the way down out to the brim. So you can do more, but remember what I said about the millinery wire. If you're wanting to add that, you're going to need more. I purchased a 1 yard, which is just not enough. So you're going to need more than what to make it any bigger. You're going to need more than that if you want to make your brim bigger. But otherwise, let's go ahead and attach this millinery wire. I'll show you how you do that. It's very easy. So go ahead and start, and we're going to be single crocheting it on. So actually, this actually might be just a little bit short for mine, but that's okay. We're going to make do. We're going to make do. So I'm at my stitch marker here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little overlap of the millinery wire. So, excuse me, it comes in this ring here, so it's easier to fit your hat. But so here's my starting point. I have about an inch or two, and I'm going to put it like right here. You know, at my starting, before I get to my starting spot. So probably 2 inches, maybe over, like that. And then I'm going to go maybe 3 inches. It doesn't really matter. But just so I have it left over here. We'll crochet it in, but just leave it over here, and then we'll start. And I'm going to just kind of single crochet now. So here's my stitch marker. I can move it up if you want to, or you can just lose the stitch marker since we're doing single crochet now instead of half double. But I'll just keep it just for the sake of keeping it. Yeah, I'm probably over about 3 inches. And now I'm going to start single crocheting this wire on. Okay, so now I'm going to start, and I'm going to hold the wire. So it's kind of like crocheting a tail in, but you're holding the wire the whole time. So I'm going to grab my piece of tape yarn after I get it untangled from my wire. Geesh. Okay. It's like I've never done this before. I have. Okay, so you go into your first stitch, and it's like I said, just go under that wire, just like you're crocheting your tail in, and single crochet like that. And then your next stitch, and single crochet that wire right on. And you see my extra here that I have hanging? Just leave that there. We'll take care of that when we get back around to it. And I'm going to go around putting 1 single crochet in every stitch, and I'm making sure that I go around that millinery wire and single crocheting it in, just like I'm crocheting a tail. See that? So as I go under my stitch for the single crochet, I just make sure my wire is on in there too, and that's what's going to hold that wire in place. So I'm going to do this all the way around. Only thing I'm going to say is it's just a bit awkward. How about that? It's not hard at all. It's really easy. It's just kind of awkward because the wire's circular to fit your hat, and it's just awkward. But we're going to do it. So I'm going to continue around, single crocheting this wire on until I get back to my starting point. Well, until I get back over here, near here, where this is at, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. Okay, as you can see, I have went around with my millinery wire, and it's pretty stiff brim now. So I'm coming to the ends here. Now, normally I would have liked them to overlap a bit more, at least an inch on each side, but I am cutting it very, very close, which is surprising. I thought it would be a lot less. But try to keep those two overlapped. So here is our starting point. Remember, we left about 2 or 3 inches there for an overlap, and here is where this wire is ending. Just try to make sure when you stitch those together, you hold them there and try to get them inside the single crochets together. I know it's a little difficult. It's a little hard because the wire is so stiff, it doesn't want to move in the direction that you want it to move, but just do your best to try to get them inside together so they overlap at least a little bit. Like I said, it would have been ideal for them to overlap at least an inch, even more if it was possible, but that doesn't seem possible really with my hat because I didn't order enough millinery wire. That fault is on me. So I'm going to do the best that I can to at least get them to overlap a bit. That, and then you just continue. There, I got them overlapped in 2 stitches. Hopefully that's good. And then I'm going to, drop my yarn, work around until I get back to my starting point. And then I'm going to put a finishing edge on my hat. So just continue. This is the wire that we had overlapped from the beginning. I'm just doing my single crochet around it, and then I'm going to check it out and see Gosh, it's awkward with this wire. How she looks with that overlap. Okay, here's my starting point. There we went. Okay, I have 120 stitches still. Let's look at it now. All right, so looks pretty good. That was not much of an overlap that it left me. Hopefully it works. Remember, it would have been ideal to have at least an inch or more of an overlap. I just made my brim bigger than I guess I anticipated. But anyways, and then if you have an overlap, there's really nothing you need to do with the millinery wire. It just stays put. But if yours is peeking out a little bit, you can just bend it down a little bit. And we'll probably need wire benders for that. I'll have to find some. Just a minute. But anyways, that's what it looks like so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge it with... You can go around it with another row of just regular single crochet if you want. You can leave it like this, but I would prefer, I think it would be better to do another row. So I'm going to use the reverse single crochet, otherwise known as a crab stitch. It's a nice finishing edge, and it's actually very easy to do. It's a single crochet, you're just doing it in reverse. It's just going to be hard for me to show you on this hat that has the stiff brim now, but I'm going to show you anyways. So what we're doing is we're just working a regular single crochet, but we're working it in the opposite direction. So just go into let me move my stitch marker. Your next stitch, going in the opposite direction, and single crochet like that. So it's really easy. And then you go into the next stitch and single crochet, and then the next one and single crochet. I'm just trying not to bend my wire, so that's what it's not difficult. I'm just making it look difficult at the angle I'm holding it. Go into the next stitch and single crochet. It's really quite easy once you get the hang of it. You're just doing a single crochet but in reverse. We're just working in the opposite direction, and as you can see, my wire is popping out. I'll take care of that in just a moment, but because I didn't have a big enough overlap. The reverse single crochet makes that little, like, it kind of looks like a ribbon wrapped, or yarn just kind of in a wrap, like it's been wrapped around. It gives it a nice finishing edge. So I'm going to do this all the way around until I get back to my starting point of a reverse single crochet in every stitch. If I could do it over again, I would have ordered a longer wire. It's very frustrating. Oh well. You live and you learn. Okay, reverse single all the way around until you get back to your beginning. If you're having trouble with the reverse single crochet, just do another row of regular single crochet around the front, or you can even do slip stitch. A row of slip stitches would make a nice finishing edge too, make it look kind of unique. That's just some different options you can do. But that's the look of the single, reverse single there. Okay, I've made it back to the beginning, and just go ahead and slip stitch into underneath that, into that first stitch there. So just like that. This is the hardest part of a reverse single, that slip stitch. There we go. Now we can tie that off, and then let's look and see what we got going on here. So we'll have to hide that tail. Okay, so it looks pretty good. See where my wires are at. They're not really sticking out too bad, but if you happen to get a little bit less wire, like I did mention, I would recommend you getting more than what I did. That way you know you have enough, but you can take it and pull it through the bottom with your wire little benders and just bend them back just a little bit so they're not poking out at the top of your hat, and bend them back at an angle so they're not poking you on the inside, but of course they'll be on the inside or the back side of that, the rim of the hat, so I doubt it'll be poking you. But there we go. Now what we need to do is put the bow on. after we hide this tail. Let me go ahead and hide this tail real quick. So now what we want to do, don't mind my hair, is try the hat on. Nice, I like it. Looks good. Now, if you want to leave it like this, that's fine. You can bend the wire and stuff, and otherwise it just stays pretty straight. I like it a lot. I think it turned out nice. But I'm adding bling to mine. So, put the hat on, and then you put, if you have this bridle belt, and you put it where you want to place it, and it's got this ribbon. Go ahead and just kind of tie it in the back. It's got a long ribbon, which you probably don't want that much, but if you do, by all means, you can keep it. But just tie it on. It doesn't have to be perfect, just so you know how tight you want it on your hat. So when you take your hat off, we can glue it in the proper spot. So there's that. Now it's tied on. Of course, I'll get rid of some of that, but I'm going to take my hat off, turn my camera around. We're going to glue this on. Okay, so there's that. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of some of this excess ribbon that I don't want. So you determine how long you want your ribbon to hang, and you can clip it or slice it at an angle or however you want to slice it, but I probably might trim it up a little bit more later. But now we know, see how it's hanging over? We've already tried it on our head and we tied it, so we know that's where it needs to be glued on. So go ahead and grab your fabric glue. And if you have gloves, that always is probably a good idea, because this fabric glue is stinky and it's kind of like super glue. But anyways, put a little bit on the inside of your ribbon. It's hard to get off your hands if you get it on your hand, so be careful with that. And then take it and put it right down there on the brim and hold it there for a little bit. We're going to do this all the way around the hat. This is what's going to hold our embellishment on. Now, if you just want to use regular ribbon, that's fine. It works too. Like, you don't want the bling, just use a piece of ribbon and go around it the same way. Tie it on your head and then glue the ribbon on. Okay, and now I'm going to add a little bit more here to the inside of my ribbon. This stuff is, sometimes I use hot glue, sometimes I use fabric glue. I think either or would work fine, but make sure you put your hand in there so you get your hat stretched out to the way that it was when it was on your head. Press it, hold it firmly. We can go around the tops a little bit later once we get the big major part of it glued on. So the heavy part anyways, if you're using this. Hopefully that is not on crooked. I think it'll be okay. Okay, there we go. Now try it on again. Make sure it's in the right spot. Make sure it feels comfortable on your head and that it's not making it too tight. Okay, mine's fine. So now you want to, if you want to leave the ribbon unglued, you can. That way you can adjust the tightness of your hat. I think that's what I'll do. So I'm just going to glue the bling embellishment on really good, and then when I get back here to the ribbon part that ties, I'm going to leave that unglued so I can tie it and retie it on my head to adjust it. Now if you don't want to do that, by all means you can just make your bow perfect and then tie it on and glue it on so it never comes undone. Or if you're using the straight ribbon, just glue part of it if you want till you get back here to almost the end and leave part of it unglued, or put nothing on your hat at all. It's up to you. So now I'm going around kind of the top of my bling here that didn't get glued, and add in a little bit of glue to that. We just want to make sure that it's not hanging off your head. And then you just glue this whole piece on at the top. Make sure, remember, I'm stopping back here at the ribbon. I'm not going to glue any of that. Once I get to my blingy piece, I'm not going to glue any more of that ribbon on. That way my hat can be, I can just tie my hat on each time I put it on, as tight or as loose as I want it. That way it's not perma stuck on. You never know, maybe you want to put your hair up all inside the hat or something, or you need it to be bigger. So, or if you give this to someone that maybe has a bigger head or a smaller head than what you did to measure, that way they can adjust the ribbon and just tie it on themselves. There we go. Oh, I didn't hold that down, and then it came undone. Okay, I'm going to continue gluing on my piece, and then I'll be back up with you. It's about done. It's pretty cool looking. Here's my ribbon. I really am not good at tying ribbons. I've mentioned that before, but you know, you can leave these as long or as short as you want. And this right here is not glued, so I can adjust it as I put it on my head. Let's see what it looks like. Let me turn my camera around real quick. All right, this is it. You know, I think it looks good. I do wish I would have used a different color of yarn so my bling would show up better. But you can see my ribbon in the back, you know. See what it looks like outside in the sun. Maybe the sun will bling off of it. What do you think? But otherwise, it turned out pretty good. It's a nice little sun hat. Thanks everybody for watching. If you make this, don't forget to show me a picture on Instagram. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you enjoyed my tutorial. And hit the notification bell on the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my videos. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day and stay safe, okay?